Well, hello and welcome, everybody. Looks like we are live on both X and YouTube. Hello and welcome, everyone. This way. Please welcome our special co-host, that '70s rock fan.
Good evening. Good evening,
Yeah,
everybody. And good evening to you, my friend. It's been too long since we've
it
done this.
has. It really. I
Far
was
too long.
really happy to be part of your Christmas live stream, broadcasting from my mother's basement in New Brunswick, and that was fun. And I am wearing my New Brunswick hat because there are a lot of Scottish and Irish
Yeah,
people descended
absolutely.
in New Brunswick because we're right next to Nova Scotia. And we're
That's
doing
right.
Scotland today. Welcome
Ugh.
to Thursday Night Travel with Spidey. And do you know why you're here?
I have no idea. I didn't ken. I've got no idea.
Yeah. Oh, there. Thank you.
He'd. No, sorry. Well, I assume because I once upon a time used to live there.
Yeah.
No, of
Yes,
course,
and
I'm in
how-
Alberta, which is quite far
hello,
away.
Suzanne
But
Exting. Yes, and you know what? I've got a road trip. I've got the cars ready to go. Everything's in order. I'll come out and see you here pretty soon because I think I've got a little bit of time before I start the construction season.
well, it would be
And
awesome.
I've got a
See
credit
you.
card, so I'll come out and see you.
Yeah, well,
Hello.
let's do it, man.
Hello.
Let's do it. That would be awesome. I can show you around the little town I live in. That'll take 2 minutes, and I don't know what we'll
I'd,
do for the rest of the time. But then
I'd love to. That's
I can take you
that's
to
all right.
Drumheller. We'll see the
Hello,
dinosaurs in
Eugene.
Drumheller.
Yes, I've seen that. I've been to Drumheller because I don't know if you know, but I got my degree in anthropology, cultural anthropology. But part of that, we did a semester of archaeology, and because I wasn't sure whether I wanted to study culture or archaeology, and I like living people like yourself.
I feel like I'm living archaeology as I'm so old now.
Hello, Suzanne Eckstein. Hello, welcome. And Eugene Bird. Hello. Carla Burton. Why, hello and welcome to you.
Hey. Hello,
Miskatonic
everybody.
Madman. Hi.
And
And
Andy Masterson.
And
And
Christian
Christian.
Delorme's vinyl reviewer. And thank you for your helping with promoting this as well. That '70s. Andy Masterson. Hello.
Great to see Andy.
Look at that
How are you,
handsome
buddy?
avatar.
Yeah.
Speaking of
What a
people who are getting
wonderful,
younger.
what a good looking chat in general. Very,
Hello,
very
Karen.
good looking.
Yeah, no kidding. That's right. We go up around Scottish people and bagpipes here in New Zealand.
That's
Yes.
right.
Miskatonic Batman, hello. And William Shakespeare. Hey, everyone. Hope you're all doing well as possible tonight. Yes. Thank you, William Shakespeare. I don't want to go too much further without expressing condolences to Clobbering Time's family.
Yeah.
His friends. That hit everyone pretty hard.
Yep, that was a sore one. It's still hard to believe. I mean,
Yeah.
I'd only been streaming with him a day or two before.
Yes.
And that
Yes.
1500th show celebration. Of course, on Midnight's Edge After Dark. And
yeah.
Of course you don't see it coming, but my God, what a trial for his family. But he's out there traveling the galaxy now.
Yes, and he doesn't have the physical restrictions.
Godspeed, Clobby.
He gave me some great advice about because he was in the New Orleans area, and he said, "Don't come to New Orleans for Mardi Gras. Come for July 4th. It's a better party, and it's the locals are out celebrating." So,
yeah,
you know what? When I do so, and I will do that in my retirement years, I will raise a glass to you, Clobby, and I'm raising a beverage to you right now, sir.
Oh, if I had one, I would. I've got some bottles of whiskey back there, so there you go. I'm raising one.
Cheers, Clobby.
Cheers, Clobby. R.I.P. Godspeed. He's out there traveling the galaxy now.
And I'm so happy to have someone who lived in Scotland with your accent to be able to. I mean, I love travel, Brian. That's why I did the cultural anthropology. Travel. I love people and food and architecture. How long did you live in Scotland? If you don't mind.
Do you love people as food? No, sorry. That's a different,
That's
a different travel.
From East Coast New Brunswick.
So I lived in Scotland for the first 40 years of my apart from the fact I'd lived in England for many years, I was
Very
born and
different.
brought up in
Very
Scotland,
different
and
countries.
generally speaking, lived there until the early 2000s. Let's put it that way. And that is indeed me trying to figure out how I got lost because I was only going down to the corner shop for a couple of beers for a beer, and
There you go, folks. It's a pretty good sized book, but you know what? It wasn't so big. Even because not a lot of places in Scotland don't have cell phone service if you're out hiking, and some of them, and so it's always good if you have a paper book, a guidebook. I love it.
I still get the paper ones. I agree. I also think it's a good idea to have a paper guidebook just in case.
Scotland in the red, just above England.
It's the orange.
You know what? I take notes in here. I all kinds of things. Yeah, this is very valuable. And before we get on to the photos, just so people are clear, this is not Scottish currency. This is a British £5 note.
It is Bank of England, which is legal tender in Scotland as well, of course.
You can use Scottish pounds in England, but I don't think they like it very much.
I, over the course of my life, did a few times suffer from the English thing of we give them a Scottish banknote and they'd go, "Oh, what's that? That's not real." And I'd say,
"Yeah,
are you living? Is this the 17th century? You know, stop taking the piss."
Yeah, this is the Scottish £10 note, folks.
No, it's the Northern Ireland one. That's Ulster Bank.
I'm pulling a fast one on you, my friend.
Not a nine-bladed sword.
So this is an Irish pound, £10 sterling, but it is different again from the Scottish currencies.
I've handled a few of those in my time too.
Okay, so I do have, and this is
now
quite big. This is a bigger note.
The Royal Bank of Scotland.
£20. Now, what's that? That's worth about 30 Canadian, isn't it?
Something like that, I guess.
Maybe more. Maybe more.
The Royal Bank of Scotland, of course, was at one point extremely successful. They bought Citizens Bank in the US and various other things, and then suffered a little bit in the last huge financial crash.
Brodick Castle.
Brodick. Looks like Edinborough, but it isn't, of course.
It does.
Just looks like it, doesn't it?
It does. And who's this fella? Do you know who that fella is?
I don't know. It's some guy with a wig. Lord St. John Melville
Lord
Struan.
Ilay, I-L-A-Y, first governor, Lord Ilay.
I-L-A-Y?
Correct.
Ilay. Okay, first governor of the Bank of Scotland, obviously. But
okay.
Which, of course, is the old Bank of Scotland headquarters is just below the castle on the mound heading up to the castle. Still there.
Irish?
It's a museum now.
Scottish. All right. So enough with currency. You're not here to look at currency, folks. Although currency is part of the, you know what? I collect currency. I'd love that part of travel, the currencies.
Well, it used to be, in Britain, they still kept their currency, even though they joined the EU. And that was one of the fun things about traveling before the EU was lira and Deutschmarks and francs. And
I've got all those, and I'm keeping them. Hey, Tim's Talk. Hello and welcome to you, sir. Hello and welcome. Thanks for being here. And hey, thanks for wrenching, Carla and Tim. I appreciate it. Rod Thunderheart, my friend.
Rod, yes, Rod. I did say in the chat the other day, my condolences to you, mate, about your sister. So, hope
same.
Hope you get over, or you never get over these things, I guess. But hope it starts to fade over time in terms of the hurt, and you remember the good times, mate.
That time is the only thing. Yeah. I'm so sorry to hear that, Rod Thunderheart. And by the way, Rod, if you're listening, my new phone screen that I just got repaired 2 days ago, I dropped my phone and I picked it up last night camping, and I had my hands full. I put it in my mouth, and my incisor teeth cracked just the top edge and shattered the whole screen again. So, Rod, if you've been trying to message me, my phone is once again broken. I'll get it fixed.
So you take it to a repair place and they say, "What caused this?" Well, I bit it.
I bit it.
I bit my phone.
It's not the first electronic device I've done that too either.
Well, you've only got two hands. You need to hold something else.
That's right. Hello, Brett Cohen. Hi.
Brett's here too. Yeah.
All right. So
I was
let's
going to
get
say
some
so. Oh yeah, I
pictures.
was going to say my hat, by the way,
Hello.
is not a Scottish one.
Ooh, FC Barcelona.
Yeah.
Very good.
On one of my travels in Europe,
Who's
I
the
got that one.
Scottish sounding bastard? How do you say bastard with the Scottish accent? How's that
Bastard. You bastard. Ya bass.
sound?
You some often shorten it to ya bass. Hey, ya bass.
Okay. Broad Thunderheart again, man. I'm sorry. If I had my phone, I'd call you, my friend. But you know, we can always chat. I'm sure you have a lot of other things to do right now. Hello and welcome. Okay, so let's get to the sharing. How about that?
Do it.
And let's start in Glasgow. So Glasgow.
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 I'll just make sure everybody in North America should know it's Glasgow, not Glasgow.
Yes, Glasgow.
And not Glascow either.
Although that is how it's spelled. Kind of.
Well, yeah.
Sort of. All right. I'm not to get rid of you. I'm just going to show the folks the map of Scotland right here. Okay. So we're talking about. Right. Oh yeah. Here we go. Glasgow, and then Edinborough, and then up here is
stuff.
Glencow in the Highlands, and then up here, right there. Oops, wrong finger, chat. I'm sorry. Right there is Loch Ness.
Ness. You know what I've always found. You know that big thick white line across Scotland that you've got there is really annoying when you get to it.
That's the Hadrian's Wall, isn't it?
That's right. You got to go over that big thick white line.
That Hadrian's Wall. Yeah, that's. You know what? I didn't get a chance to see all of Scotland, and because there's just far too much to see.
So when did you go? When was your? What trips have you done?
I want to say about 13 years ago. Okay. Yeah, it's been a little while. 14 years ago. Yeah. Back when I had money. Do you remember those days?
No, I don't. What is this? Money?
Yeah, I know, right?
No, I don't know what that is.
Okay, here we go.
So that was the only time you'd been for one and only time?
Yes. Yeah. Right. I went over to Scotland. I was in Europe for, I don't know, 5 months. And I went around Scotland. And I was the designated driver because I was the only one with experience on that side of the road. So that was terrible. So I want to go back and see the things that I didn't see. And yeah.
Indeed. So you went to Glasgow, obviously.
I certainly did. So this is
being
Glasgow
from Edinborough.
Cathedral.
Being from Edinborough, of course, I disapprove of that completely. But I'm just kidding,
Thank you, my friend. Hey, what now? Did you spend much time in Glasgow?
Over the years. I did spend a lot of time, particularly going over for things like concerts.
Thanks, Christian.
You know, it had larger venues.
Right.
Larger venues.
Glasgow
there.
Music festivals are famous, of course.
Well, the biggest festival in the world is in Edinburgh, of course, the Edinburgh International and Fringe Festival.
Oh, yeah, of course.
But Glasgow always had the bigger venues, so you got concerts there you might not get in Edinburgh. Plus lots more clubs, of course.
Yet. Nope. The Oilers are not done yet. Good. Mr. Angel, hello and welcome. Thank you so much for saying that, Christian. Yeah, I was educated in anthropology, but I couldn't make a buck at it, although I did learn a lot. And you know what? It helped me for all my travels. I viewed the world as someone with cultural anthropology training, and that really changed my travels. And it got me interested in traveling, even more so.
So how many days did you spend in Glasgow then? And what was that part of your trip like?
I was there for about 5 days.
Well, that's quite a bit.
Yeah, it wasn't. This cathedral was amazing. Inside, there's inside. Yes. Yeah. Okay, inside Glasgow Cathedral. So here's what it looks inside. Yeah. And hello and welcome, Peter.
And Glasgow, it's an interesting city because it's obviously it's the largest city in Scotland. It used to be about 1 million people. I'm not sure what it is now. Mm-hmm. And it's this strange mixture of beautiful old buildings and very ugly modern housing estates. So
Right.
it's a very strange mixture of that. So they took so at the center of Glasgow, and a lot of it is a lot of it's Victorian,
I
because
would. Yep.
during the
That's
Victorian
what the
era,
Lonely Planet said.
during the Victorian era, Glasgow was possibly the second, next to London, the second richest and most important city in the empire because of its
Wow.
huge port, and all the
Wow.
tobacco trade came in and out of Glasgow. And so they built all these wonderful Victorian streets and buildings and monuments and whatever. And then, because on top of that, you had all the old stuff from the previous centuries. So it was actually a very beautiful and bustling city. But then in the 50s,
Yeah.
60s and onwards, they built a lot of housing estates around it that are now have a
Ooh.
terrible reputation, or at least they did.
Yeah.
Um,
That's yeah.
so
Yeah.
it became known as not this beautiful city of ancient
Mm.
buildings and whatever, but a city of violence and drinking and whatever. I think there's a bit of truth in both, but
There was definitely drinking that I noticed more than other parts of, and the water fountains all smelled of urine, which was not awesome. I think that's a thing, or was a thing. So
yeah, yes, I wouldn't. Yeah,
yeah, no,
gotta be
you've never done
careful
that,
with that.
surely, no. So this is Edinburgh. This is Edinburgh Castle,
Yeah.
fantastic, and that I mean, you just find these randomly all over Scotland. You know,
Wallace, or is it just a night?
it's just a knight. Yeah, it's just a knight. I do have a photo of William Wallace, his statue, not him. Brett Cullen says, always wanted to live in the Scottish Highlands from being a kid. Closest I could get was Tasmania, in Australia, of course. I've been to Tasmania. Have you had the fortune of going there, my friend?
I've never been to Australia or Tasmania, or indeed anywhere in the well, I've been on the Pacific coast in North America, but I've never been anywhere on the other side of the Pacific. It's on my bucket list. My
Well,
bucket list, the big
yeah,
bucket list trip I
sure.
want to do is Japan, Korea, and
Oh,
Australia.
yes. Yes. And Tasmania is, as he said, as Brett Cohen said, Tasmania actually, Brett, I don't know if you've been to the Scottish Highlands as an adult yet, but Tasmania, and especially you're talking about the walls of Jerusalem, that those hiking trails, I hiked to the tops of those. It was the middle of their summer, and I had on a toque and a hoodie and was freezing, slept over there, freezing.
Mm,
Tasmania is not that far off from parts of Scotland,
I didn't know
so
that. Yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
so I the harbor there in Hobart is very reminiscent of Victoria in British Columbia. If you've ever been to Victoria,
See,
Brett.
I've been to Victoria. I didn't know that about
Yeah, looks
Tasmania.
very similar.
The thing
Very.
about
Yes.
Scotland is it's got several big cities like Glasgow and Edinburgh and Aberdeen and whatever. It's not that far out of those cities that you actually feel that you're pretty remote.
Yes,
Yeah.
please subscribe to our friend here at
Well,
70s
I
Rock
thank
Fan.
you, William. So it's got this weird mixture of like Glasgow, big city, lots of urban stuff going on.
Mhm.
100 miles north of there, you're in the West Highlands, and it's like there's nobody.
Unbelievable.
There's nobody, and it's beautiful. Yeah. So it's weird. It feels remote, even though you're not really that far away from anything. It's weird.
That's
Is
and that
Karen Gillan typical? She's typical of the kind of girl I used to go out with.
that
Yes.
that could be William Wallace, but I don't believe that was very similar. The looks are not
It's
very
either
similar.
him or an archetype.
Yeah, yeah. Okay, thank you. That was the word. See, this is why we needed you on because you've got the vocabulary.
It's
Is
possibly an
Karen Gillan?
archetype.
I don't know who she is.
Karen Gillan is some
Okay,
Guardians
good.
of the Galaxy is one of the
Oh,
things she's been in. I think I'm
okay.
right in
Oh,
saying, and I think she was in Doctor Who as well. I'm not sure.
we'd like to go to Scotland. Maybe there might be some Scotland event. Yes, good to have you here. Canada's
Yeah.
first Prime Minister, Sir John A. Macdonald, and Sir Alexander Mackintosh.
Well, if you
Very
ever go
Scottish.
to Dunkeld, then Mackenzie's, that's where you'll find a plaque where Alexander
Yeah.
Mackintosh was born.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
And that's again, gorgeous. Yeah,
Is that
gorgeous
Edinburgh?
skies.
Or no?
That is Edinburgh,
Or is
isn't
it
it?
Stirling?
No, you're right. That is Stirling Castle, and that is William Wallace there, or an
It could
archetype.
be Stirling, I think.
Yeah, that is Stirling. You're correct. Stirling Castle was amazing. And I hadn't heard about it or read about it before we had stumbled upon it. I had a Scottish friend of mine, Callum. Callum showed me around, and
A Scottish name for you.
oh, and I'll tell you his last name offline, and you'll be even more so, sir. Think of the most Scottish name that's actually Scottish, and that's his last name. But yeah, so he toured me all around, and he introduced me to Stirling, and it was a hidden gem. I heard about it, and Stirling Castle's amazing.
It's
It really
interesting
is.
you should say that,
There
because
it is.
that is, if
There's Callum.
people ask me where to go, and obviously everyone knows Edinburgh Castle.
Mhm.
Quite rightly, it's famous. But I say, don't miss out on going to Stirling. Stirling Castle is bizarrely a very
Yes.
beautiful castle. If you
Yes.
could say any medieval castle is beautiful, and
I
it's on the
couldn't agree
plains of the Forth. So the view there you see is what you get. You've got the
Mhm.
Wallace
Yep.
Monument. You've got all these little cobbled
Mhm.
streets leading up
Yep.
to the castle.
The Wallace
It's a
Monument right there.
and
He's a giant.
the town itself is really nice. So Stirling is a do not miss.
It's in the countryside out of nowhere, and all of a sudden there's this giant castle in the middle of the
Yeah,
countryside.
it's like the plains of the River Forth before it heads down to Edinburgh. So, and this, of course, is where the
Nice
Stirling
description.
is where you had a number of important battles, like Stirling Bridge and the Battle of Bannockburn, that were all done round there. So,
Mr. Angel said, I won an all expense paid whiskey trip to Scotland once, and yet I don't drink whiskey.
Poor chap.
Trip was fun.
I don't know if you would object to sharing my screen just for a minute.
Yeah, I saw that.
Because we mentioned Glasgow and we mentioned whiskey.
Okay.
So I will.
Go.
Yeah. So if you ever go to Glasgow, there is a bar called the Pot Still in Glasgow.
All right.
And I obviously can't read the blurb there. It's been there for a long, long time. It is one of, if not the best whiskey bar in Scotland.
Whoa.
That's just a small selection of what they've got behind the bar.
When are we going next?
So the Pot Still has to be on your list of places to go. It's got, I don't know how many, it's got like a couple of thousand whiskeys. So it's quite the place, I have to say. The Pot Still, it's called.
Wow, that's amazing.
Yeah, so I just thought I'd mention that one. I'll just hide that for now. And go back to your pictures, but
yeah,
the Pot Still. So
yeah, so fantastic. No, that's the Pot Still. I've not heard of that. That, man, next time I go back, and see, I was a designated driver, and driving in Scotland was interesting. And I've got a photo of the trip with the steering wheel on the wrong side of the car. And
no, it's on the right side of the car, the correct side.
You see this all over Scotland. That's just amazing. That's a drain spout, a friggin' drain spout from the roof. Unbelievable.
Yeah, that medieval architecture is incredible. I'm going to let Christian tell us about the controversy himself in the chat.
Christian Delorme's Vinyl Revival says, "Hey man, ask 70s about the controversial about the
I'll let Christian can tell us in the chat."
Sure. And Peter Venkman says, "I don't drink at all." Yeah, I'm going to start that policy. That's a good way to save some money.
I don't know if he's referring to the fact that for a long time the Scottish national anthem was "Scotland the Brave," which is a very upbeat tune.
There's Stirling.
And then they changed it to the Flower of Scotland in the 70s, and that's much more of a dirge, as we would call it. So it's a little less.
No.
Yeah, but these are good
Castle,
pictures.
folks.
Yeah, Stirling.
Stirling Castle.
Very nice.
Just gorgeous. And man, how far can you shoot a cannonball from that height? Wow.
Far enough to hit an Englishman.
No kidding. And see how old you just find that. See, walking in the countryside of Scotland, you just find these old walls. I don't know how old that is, but it's probably older than any house in Canada.
It's just old stuff everywhere, you know. It's
good to have you.
And you're talking. Obviously, there's Neolithic stuff in various places, but then you've got medieval stuff, you've got Viking stuff, you've got Roman stuff. There are Roman remains still. Everything right up through the centuries is all there.
Yeah, Hadrian's Wall is
that's Roman.
Yeah. Now these are the Highlands around Glen, because this is where I would have been doing the hiking through the Highlands around Glen, folks.
It's awfully misty.
Oh, it was gorgeous, gorgeous, and yeah, there you go. There's the town of Glencoe, right in the distance there, and we're walking along to that.
Glencoe is very beautiful. I mean, the road
I loved it.
that goes through Glencoe with the steep hills
Oh,
either side, it's quite
I'll add
impressive.
us.
Yeah.
Sorry, I forgot to add us. There we go. Sorry, folks. It's just a screen with people talking. You can't see us.
I'm very disappointed though. I haven't seen a single sheep so far.
I have cows. Don't drink them. Make your own. Don't give them tax and enjoy a bevy or two. I agree,
Yeah.
Brett Cohen. I do not want to give any more tax, so they'll use it again. They'll just use it against us. You're right. Those roundabouts are the actual inspiration for Yes song Roundabout. Really? Fantastic, Herc. Thank you. Non-alcoholic. Yep. That's an excellent way. I see you had the good Scottish weather. Yeah, Mr. Angel. Is it Sing a Long Time?
Depends what we're singing along to.
The national anthem?
How about well, I don't know. I'm not a very good singer.
Yeah. This
You
is
could sing
all around Glencoe and
you could
gorgeous.
sing Donald, Where's Your Choosers?
Gorgeous. And I don't know how old this bridge was. I mean, for all I know, it could be a Roman built bridge. Who knows? It is
No, it wouldn't be. That's probably more like 1700s, that one.
okay.
If it's the
than
one I'm
anything in
thinking it
Canada.
is. Yeah.
Older than any structure in Canada except for the Viking structures, perhaps.
There's a few buildings in Quebec older than that, I think. Just a few.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah,
There is.
1700s. Yeah, okay.
I think isn't the oldest building in North America is in Quebec City, and I think it's a bar.
Oh, yeah.
There's a bar there from like 16 something.
Wow,
16
really?
something or other.
Okay.
I've been in it. I can't remember.
I should learn more Canadian history. I didn't realize we had anything from the 1600s. Wow.
That's a really nice house.
This is just someone's house in Glencoe. Just, I don't know how old it is, but again, from the hundreds of years old. It was just when I landed in Europe and Scotland in particular, and England. The history there, to me, Brian, someone who's grown up in a country that's very young, was tangible. The history was tangible. You could feel it. It was in the air. It was just immersed. We were immersed in it. It was just part of everything.
Oh, it's all around you there. Yeah, absolutely.
Really?
I mean, you walk through any of the major towns. Even the town I grew up in, which is outside of Edinburgh, it's a pretty rough town, mining town. But the actual old part of the town it's got a 12th century church. It's that kind of thing. It's just everywhere. That stuff.
Gorgeous Glencoe. And yeah,
you got the weather though. You got the weather.
I did. And hello, Dalek. I'm doing really good. Thank you for being here, Dalek. It's been a long time. I'm glad you're here. Really glad to have you here. And do you mind reading this from our friend Christian?
The Irish greet British royalty with both hands in their pockets. How do the Scots greet British royals? Do we really greet them? I don't know if that's if it's a joke. I don't know the punchline, but it depends on who they were. I mean, theoretically, they're our royals too, but I'm not a big fan, so we'd probably turn our backs.
I think I met
with a sword. Yes,
the Queen came to New Brunswick once, and I went in grade 2, and I met her outside the legislature. I mean, I was in proximity, not actually meeting her. The Highlands, man, around Glencoe, just gorgeous. And then
that's what I mean about the remoteness, though. I mean, you look at that, and it feels like you're somewhere at the edge of the earth. When really you're only about 80 miles from Glasgow or 100 miles from Glasgow. So it just feels remote, though. And it is, I guess, because there's not many people live there. It's pretty quiet.
Oh, that makes sense. The Peter Venkman fan site says you greet the royals with a sword.
That's what I said, yeah. I read
That's
that
funny.
one.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
The moment when it's roundabout because of an anime. Interesting. Dubrovnik. I have not been to Dubrovnik, but believe me, I want to go. Absolutely. And it's not that expensive compared to certainly London, and Scotland was rough on my pocketbook. I'll tell you that much.
It's not cheap. No, it's not cheap. Although Canada, which used to be a lot cheaper, is kind of caught up now.
This picture is very fitting. Yeah. It's well, so have the Scottish people had as much inflation as over here, do you think, in the last little while?
Oh, absolutely, they have. Yeah, I mean, I just had my sister here from
'Cause they
Scotland. Things are pretty bad. Yeah,
they
but I mean,
printed
it's no worse
the
than here. It's just the
yeah.
same. It's,
Yes, Dalek, we had a toast to Clobber Times at the beginning of the stream.
yeah, I
Uh,
was on his commemoration stream last night on his channel.
they vacation in Balmoral. Yes, right.
Well,
Not
funnily enough, I've been to Balmoral,
yeah,
and
I
the
believe
Queen
that.
Mother was coming out in a
Hello,
vehicle, and she
fiancés.
waved at us. We were actually standing like 3 feet away. She waved.
Wow, that's pretty close. So this looks like Glasgow to me again. Glasgow.
It does. But that's what I'm saying. But the Victorian and Edwardian
Yeah.
parts of Glasgow are quite nice.
Yeah, Glasgow. I'll get it right by the end of the stream. Hello, Taylor Swift, greater than Disney. Hello and welcome. Great to have you here. And yes, Mr. Angel, I'm perfectly thrilled to have you here, and I appreciate you reminding. I'm thrilled to have everyone here in the chat, and I would like to raise a glass to Clobby again.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love the architecture. It's fascinating to me. Again, and just I don't even know what castle that is. Just random
That
castle.
actually looks like Inverness to me.
That is Inverness. Yes, you're right.
Pretty sure it's Inverness. Yeah.
You just triggered a memory. Yep, because there was a medical issue that we had, and Inverness.
So what they call a virgin in Inverness? A liar.
Hold on, commemoration stream. Please tell me that's not what I think. Yes, that is for Clobby, Brett. Yeah, he passed day before yesterday, sadly.
Yeah.
Is there anyone who hasn't protested Brits? Well, yeah, probably.
Well, I don't want to get too deep into it, but it's an interesting history because the Scots are not necessarily all anti-royal or indeed anti-union. You may have noticed when you're there's a strong unionist streak in Scotland. Many people, particularly in the Protestant side of the religious divide, are very pro-union, pro-royalty. And then many that are on the Irish Catholic side in Scotland are more anti-union. It's not as clear-cut as people might think. That now, over the years, there's been a lot of anti-Englishness here and there, obviously, because of hundreds of years of fighting. But it's not necessarily that they're against the union. I mean, the actual royal family now, although pretty much they're German, they are theoretically descended from the Stuarts, who were Scots. The Scots monarchy, of course. So it's a little more complex than just being, pro-Scottish, anti-English.
You said it, Brett Cohen.
But yeah, it's everything's history is complex. It's not what people necessarily think it is.
But maybe they like the extra drama. If they like to think there's drama where there might
the other thing was, of course, that the Highlanders, who were the ones that fought the Jacobite rebellion.
Yes,
they were followers of the old Jacobite monarchy, Bonnie Prince Charlie and his predecessors, the Catholic monarchy, who were ousted in favor of the Stuarts.
Oh.
So the Highlanders were the ones that fought that. A lot of the Lowland Scots were against them. So it's not as clear-cut as it was Scotland versus England. It was more of a who supports which monarchy and which religion are you?
Hey, divide and conquer. Our current government is really familiar with that. So this is Inverness as well, and just gorgeous.
It is.
I'm pretty sure that's Inverness. Yeah,
Inverness is a nice town.
Beautiful.
Maybe about 50, 60,000 people.
Yeah, it didn't seem that big. It was walkable around the area we were in.
And it's probably, I mean, if you go that far north, obviously then the next step is to go up to John O'Groats in the northeast. But this is the largest town you'll have before you get up there. There's nothing large up there beyond that. It's just tiny, the small towns, very small towns.
Which is part of the charm of Scotland. That's why I loved it up there. Christian has a question for you. Hey, Brian, what's the most iconic historical site in Scotland?
Well, that's iconic's an interesting one. I would have to say obviously, I think Edinburgh Castle has a huge
Yep.
role to play there. I think it's the
That's what
one
I
most
was.
people in the world visit. But I think
Yep.
iconic may well be considered maybe the Wallace Monument possibly
Ooh,
is more
in
iconic
Stirling Castle.
than Edinburgh Castle. It's depends what you. The Wallace Monument, if iconic means an archetypal representation of a nation, then the Wallace Monument perhaps embodies that archetype more than a castle.
Okay. Yeah.
So I'm just going by the word, trying to go by the word iconic as opposed to
Right.
most famous.
Yeah.
Edinburgh Castle is the most famous, but obviously the Wallace Monument and the Bruce monuments in Stirling are pretty famous. Roslyn Chapel, which I have some photographs of, is a fairly iconic place.
We'll bring that up right after you describe. This is perfect timing, Peter Venkman. Maybe you know what we're looking at here. This is Loch Ness.
Indeed, it certainly is. It's actually quite a deep loch as well.
Is that Nessie out in the middle, or is that something on my screen?
No, it could be something out there.
That's a white. There's something in the middle. So that's Urquhart Castle, folks. That's Urquhart Castle. And do you want to share? I'm ready to share whenever you want to.
Hang on, I have one picture. I just want to share right now because we were talking about Edinburgh Castle briefly, and I will show more later. This is a view from Edinburgh Castle, looking out over the old town of Edinburgh. The new town of Edinburgh. So I guess that's a pretty iconic shot. This is the sort of thing you'll see in Edinburgh.
A similar
Castle.
one. Yeah,
this is what you'll see in Edinburgh Castle.
And do you suppose those cannons were actually used at the time?
Were those ones ever used? Possibly not. The last time they probably saw any military action would be the early 1700s. So
yeah.
But anyway, that's one of you've probably got a few too like that. But.
The Grand Tour was there during the pandemic. They called it the lockdown. That's fine.
Hang on. Sorry, I forgot. There's one more. This is another shot of that bar in Glasgow. This is I was standing front on, and the other ones we saw. This is to my left, and the camera right.
There's some depth.
So it shows you it's a view of the rest of that bar.
Wow.
In Glasgow. So I mean, there's a lot of whiskey in there.
That's fantastic.
I just used to annoy them by asking for something on the top shelf just so they had to go get the ladder to go and get it.
And was it a wooden ladder? It was. Yeah, it's a wooden
ladder.
It's
right there. Yeah, you
slides along the on rails. It's on rails.
What's that one up there?
It's fastened to the wall. It's part of the wall, and it's on rails. Yes, I've seen it.
Yeah.
And Edinborough Castle is supposed to be haunted, really?
Huh. Well, that's a thing because you can't go anywhere in Scotland without something being said to be haunted, and it's true probably. Edinburgh has its famous ghost tours where you go into the underground city.
So does Tasmania at Port Arthur.
Yeah,
that's amazing.
Mary King's Close, Mary King's Close in Edinburgh is under the city chambers, and it was closed off in the 1800s because of the plague, and they closed it off. Literally, they closed the street off and basically covered it over and left everyone to die inside. So during the Second World War, when they were digging down under the city chambers to build bomb shelters, they uncovered this closed off street. They call them closes in Edinburgh, the little narrow streets that go up and down the hill. The castles. They uncovered it and they'd forgotten it was there. So you can now do tours under there and all the other tunnels and streets that are, because Edinburgh Castle's on a big hill. It's full of tunnels and closed off areas underneath. So you do the tours at night around there. And where Burke and Hare were the body snatchers. They were guys that snatched bodies so that they could do experimentation. Doctors needed bodies back in the 1800s. Yep. So there's a ton of great ghost tours there, but you go under Mary King's Close, it's spooky, like very spooky down there. Because
I had a sense here and funnily enough, they were able to stay at all the castles they visited. Though that's awesome. Well, they're famous though, the guys on Grand Tour. Hello, everybody.
So Loch Ness is interesting because they go, well, Nessie's there and blah blah blah. Maybe there is something there. Who am I to say? But Loch Ness itself is a relatively new loch formed by the glaciers of the last ice age. So if
Right.
it's unlikely there's going to be any prehistoric dinosaur era monsters in it because it didn't exist then.
Right.
It only was created about 12,000 years ago. That's not to say something hasn't swum in there since, of course.
Since, yeah. Wow. So that's Urquhart Castle again, overlooking the Loch. And Mr. Angel says, do you mind reading this actually?
Rule of thumb in Scotland, if your castle isn't haunted, it's not a real castle. It's true. If you ever sleep in a castle, and I've slept in a few, it's kind of spooky because it's noises and drafts and wind blowing and things clanking and big drafty rooms. And yeah, it's plus you might be away out in the middle of nowhere.
Well, hello.
And it's dark.
Out in the middle of nowhere, exactly.
Hey,
And
Bill.
Outlaw Bill, hello. Hello,
So-
Outlaw Bill, an old friend of the channel. Welcome here, my friend.
So I actually lived not too far from Inverness for quite a few years. I lived up in a town called Elgin in the Moray Firth, which is the Speyside where all the whiskey distilleries are.
Oh,
So
okay, yes.
Inverness and Loch Ness were not too far away, and it was always nice for a day trip there. There's talking of spooky, on one bank of, you can go drive down both sides of Loch Ness. One is just a very small, narrow road. The other is the main road. But if you go down the narrow side, Alistair Crowley, Boleskine was his mansion. Alistair Crowley, the satanic guy.
Oh, okay.
He
Yeah, I know the
owned
name.
Boleskine, and so he did all his stuff there, and he's writing and whatever. And Jimmy Page bought that house in the 70s. And it's that, even driving by it, you're thinking that's a spooky place because you had a top level Satanist buying it, and then Jimmy Page bought it after.
Wow, that's yeah.
What was going on in that place for decades, so that's kind of spooky.
No kidding. That's great. Yeah, exactly. The Peter Venkman site. That's a place that would be haunted. Exactly. All right,
yeah.
Time for bed, says Christian.
Cheers,
I like
Christian.
something comment and have a great. Thank you so much, Christian. Great to have you here. Really
It's
happy
good to
to
see
have
you,
you
mate.
here. And Dalek451 says that was a really good episode of the Grand Tour. They were driving big American cars from south to north of Scotland. That would be fun.
Some of them would get stuck in the north.
So
Single track roads.
That Urquhart Castle was really
It's a nice
really
one.
impressive. I liked it. And yeah, Inverness is pretty much right close to Loch Ness and Urquhart
So
Castle.
Inverness Castle is really one of these castles. It's more of a big mansion than it is a castle. So some of the latter day ones that were built in the 17th, 18th century onwards, they're more large country houses than they are proper castles. They're not medieval castles. They just, hey, I'm going to call it a castle because I'm the lord of the manor, so this is my castle, kind of thing. So, this is nice.
Yeah, this was the nice dungeon there with the big locks and the steel. And yeah.
Indeed. Open air plumbing.
Yeah, they had that right as part of the Urquhart Castle, just to show you that there was a dungeon there. And yeah, this is just and I'm looking for Nessie in the loch here in Loch Ness, and I don't see anything in any of these pictures.
Well, people have seen things, but who knows?
But look how spooky that is, right?
Yeah. I find it interesting that everything that's ever been seen has been very blurry and hard to see.
Funny how that is. Now, see, obviously the wood is new construction for the tourists, folks.
Yeah, and one thing you'll find about Scotland and the castles is and the cathedrals is a large number of them are ruined because of centuries of warfare.
Right.
So they tore them down. The first thing they would do if it were captured, like if the Scots captured it or the English captured it, and they were going to get thrown out, they'd tear it down and burn it down before they left. So eventually they gave up rebuilding them.
And use the materials for their own nefarious purposes. So there's a lot Ness again, and boy, that looks like there's something could be in there.
Some pretty cold water. That's what's in there.
I bet.
There's a Scottish sky for you. Why is the sky so low?
Right. Oh, okay. And do you mind reading this from Kivan 6?
So my only question so far is, what in the world does Iron Brew actually taste like? I've never had the privilege yet of trying it. Kind of hard to get it out here in the southern US sticks. We can get it. We can get it here, even in our local supermarket in Canada here. But
I think
to be fair, it's just another fizzy pop drink with a. I don't even know how you would describe the taste. Yeah. I can't honestly. It's been so long since I've had one. I can't describe it. It doesn't taste like Coke, and neither does it taste like girders.
No, but not like the higher Dr. Pepper or root. Well,
it's not root beer. It's not root beer. It's got a bit of a taste, but it's more less sweet than Coke, I would say.
Mr. Angel says, imagine wanting to buy that house, and the real estate employee says, just ignore the voice of the damned.
That's right. It's the Boleskine house, yeah, the Crowley one. Only Jimmy Page could have bought that. He liked that stuff, so that's.
Yes, Peter Beckman, interdimensional aliens. Nessie sauna blocks real pictures. Yeah, I believe it. The sonar. Yep. No wonder there's so many hauntings over there.
So one other thing about Loch Ness is it feeds out into the Murray Firth, which then goes into the North Sea. You can actually take a boat all the way down from Loch Ness to the west coast of Scotland because of it. They built a series of canals and lochs using some lochs that were there, like Loch Ness. So they go all the way down right across the country. You can take a boat across it from Loch Ness. Or indeed,
that the whole area around Loch Ness, this countryside. Now these hillsides are rolling older hills, kind of like the east coast of Canada, of course, because they used to be connected long time ago. But you'll find mountains like this in the hillsides, really. But the rounded off mountaintops in Nova Scotia, New Brunswick, just amazing like this.
Yeah, there's a lot of those. We don't have any particularly super tall mountains. Ben Nevis is the largest. I think it's like 5,000 feet up. Cairngorms are more jagged and rocky, but a lot of the hills are these rolling ones.
Yeah, just gorgeous. Oh yeah, that car was moving real fast. But yeah, now these hills were. Too bad that's not a better shot, but these hills were bigger than I expected up in the Highlands. Yeah. It's fantastic.
It's pretty hilly, but it's not like the Rockies or anything. There's nothing like that.
But there are parts of my area around here in the Okanagan that look kind of like this.
Yeah, I actually said that when I moved to BC, and obviously I didn't live that far from you. I said some of this looks pretty like parts of Scotland. Same trees, same hills.
How thick was that ice cap again? Yeah, at least.
It's about a mile. Yeah, I think you're right.
Oh, the hill country in Texas.
Yes, that is true as well. I have to say, having been there, yeah.
I want to live in Texas as soon as they make weed legal.
It rains a lot more in Scotland than in the hill country in Texas, though.
So, this is the high street, and the club scene. This is after midnight. Do you know what city this is?
I think it's funny. There's a noodle bar.
That's a police van with a video camera on a pole.
I'm not entirely sure. No, I couldn't.
Glasgow.
Yeah.
Glasgow.
Yeah.
This is out of the pub. There's a pub called the Steak and Cherry. You can stay there till 3:30 a.m. Then the bus depot opens at 6. If you don't want to stay in a hotel, so that's what we did.
Heavy police presence.
With that police armored vehicle there has a camera on top. Absolutely. Yeah, on a pole, on a selfie stick type. Yeah, crazy.
Yeah, there's a lot of drinking going on there. And this is
Go ahead.
Is this the railway station?
That is, yeah, it is.
One of them. There's two.
Yes. Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, there's Union and Queen's Street
Yep.
and Union Station. It's two
So we
different ones,
stayed at the
but they're
Steak and
back to
Cherry.
back, but they're two different ones.
We stayed at the Steak and Cherry, like I said, till 3:30 a.m. And then the next morning, we came here first thing and caught a train because it's not a nice area to stay. You can't just hang out at the train
No,
station in Glasgow
no.
at overnight. I don't recommend it at all. And I'll show you something.
Nope.
while I'm right.
Yeah, I wouldn't hang around there at night either. I mean, it's beautiful. The train stations, like the two Glasgow ones and the Edinborough one, are really nice, old Victorian built. But the streets around are pretty rowdy at night. So.
Yes. Now this is a shot glass from the Steak and Cherry that I paid for and got that night. There's that size and then that size. But this is, I don't know if it'll show. Oh, maybe 25 milliliters, 25 ml.
There you go. Yeah, I see it.
So Scotland is metric.
Well, they changed to metric in the 70s, but everybody still talks about inches and feet and gallons and pints. And nobody goes in and asks for a liter of beer, pint of beer.
That's. Oh, do you mind reading this from our friend Mr. Angel, please?
Sure. The ground is still being uplifted 13,000 years later. The sheer weight of the ice cap pressed the earth crust down. That is absolutely correct.
Wow. And that is also Glasgow Cathedral. Isn't that not the cathedral in by? I think it is.
I think so. Yeah, it's a while since I've been. It looks like it's next to Union Square, which is a big Victorian. You see all the Victorian architecture.
Yeah, here. And the Scottish flags. Man, I like the Scottish flags. The Scots must be half as rowdy as the Irish. They're pretty.
I think we're pretty
pretty friendly to me. If you're Canadian, they're pretty friendly.
A wee dram, that's right. Except nobody has a wee dram. We usually have multiple wee drams. Like quite a lot of wee drams.
My heritage is Scottish and Irish. That's where my grandparents on both sides come from. There's my friends.
So the battlements of Edinborough Castle, yes.
Yes, and look at those fancy outfits that the soldiers are wearing. Those
yes, indeed.
Yep.
It's like living history there.
There we go. And that was the thumbnail for tonight's stream. And I didn't ask, but I'm assuming they're real Scotsmen.
Well, that's between them and the road, isn't it?
It is between them and your mirrored shoes. And I can't read Latin.
Me neither. But Nemo.
Oh.
I don't know what Nemo's got to do with it. If somebody wants to put that into the internet and tell us what it says. Nemo,
this is my favorite pick. You like that, my friend? Here,
so it's something like "Don't throw me in the sea" is what that means.
I've
got one of those. I've got a kilt.
I think you're talking about that one, man. Brian, if I would have loved to have gotten one, and one day I will.
Oh, it's great. Honestly, they're great to wear. Hot, believe it or not, very warm.
Really?
Oh, very warm. So, it's like several yards of woolen cloth. You're pretty warm.
Edinborough Castle, gorgeous.
The castle is incredible. Edinborough Castle is incredible.
Oh, here we go.
Nobody steps in me unpunished. That's why it's over the door. That's why it's over the gate. Yes.
Right. Send all kilt pics this way.
Oh, I got a ton of them. I'll have to dig it. I'll dig a few out of me.
Oh, Mr. Angel says, sorry, my geology hobby comes out to play whenever I see magnificent views and landscapes like that. Can't help myself. I love geology, man. I actually studied that a little bit in school too.
It's fascinating. Yeah.
Processes over millions of years happening. Yes. And now that we have CGI where you can take and they can show you a computer model of how the land has changed over millions of years. That's pretty amazing. So this is Edinborough Castle. Yeah, just gorgeous. You wouldn't want to attack that.
This is the only castle that was never, ever taken by force by any side ever in any battle. It just couldn't be done.
And go ahead.
Yeah, you couldn't. I mean, they tried several times to infiltrate various attacking forces by climbing the rocks, but it just...
Yeah. And that park down below, between the buildings, of course, that park is really good for concerts, I hear.
So that's yeah, they use it for that, but that's not what wasn't what it was for. So that's what you see. There's Princess Street Gardens, it's called, and it
Okay.
was built along with the streets behind Princess Street, Queen Street, George Street, are what they call the New Town. And New Town in Scotland means, or in Edinburgh means, it was built in the 1800s, as opposed to the stuff that was there before that. That's new. That's the new town.
Of
But it was
course.
laid out in a, like, unlike the old streets of this big hill that Royal Mile and the castle is on, which was all windy old shit. This was laid out nicely, and they built these gardens called Princess Street Gardens for the people to enjoy walking up and down the gardens. Now they do hold some concerts in it. I've been to a number of them at Hogmanay, as we call it, New Year's Eve. They have
Hogmanay. Yes, New Year's
Hogmanay.
Eve. Yes,
They have a
exactly.
big concert there. Yeah.
And the
big
stained
concert.
glass windows are amazing in your country, or your former country, I gotta say.
Well, that's just my living room, really.
Do you mind reading this, please?
The Loch Ness is such a dirty or cloudy loch, and you'd be lucky to be able to see your hands in front of your face. They sent a probe into Loch Ness with an underwater camera and couldn't see squat. Yeah, that's right, Susan. It's not a clear, sparkly blue water. There's a lot of silt, and it's dark and deep as well. So not easy to see anything in there. Yep.
Kevon 6. No, I wouldn't imagine. No, even with the camera. Kevon 6 says, I have a kilt, the big one. The rest are water. Utility kilts. I like the utility kilt. That I can understand. Ooh. This phrase is also used in Edgar Allan Poe's The Cask of Monte.
Oh, I didn't know that.
How do you pronounce that word? Montillado?
Montillado.
Two L's. Is it Spanish so the two L's make a Y sound? I don't know.
Montillado could be. Yeah.
I don't know. It's
you may have a point.
Family motto.
You may
yeah,
have
it's on top of my shoulders. To quote an old friend Bob of mine.
Just trying to find a picture of me in my kilt.
And the reason why he takes revenge. Oh, Wu-Tang Clan. I like Wu-Tang. Maybe that's why no one ever found Nessie. Yeah, because of the clouded, crappy water. No doubt.
Yeah, it's hard if you can't see anything to see anything.
There's a Harley Davidson in the background. I hope it's not rumbling too loud there for you, my friend.
Oh, I'm just, it's funny when you look for something specific, you can never find it. And there's dozens of photographs of me in my kilt, and now I'm looking for them. I can't find them.
Oh, Peter Venkman, you could be very correct. I thought it was Italian. Oh, the cask of Montillado. Yes, sure.
That could be, yeah.
I don't remember. I studied Italian for a year in university, right after Spanish, and I can't remember more than 3 words. But it was a good language. I'll learn it again one of these days. Just the architecture, the gargoyle spouts, the rain spouts coming off the roof and stick out like 4 feet, and they're gargoyles, and they're like cast bronze. I don't know how heavy they are, or copper, probably a combination.
Oh, it'd weigh a ton. Yeah, I would think.
Oh, Mr. Angel says no, it's Latin. So it's kind of a combination of Spanish and Italian. It's
okay, here we go. Right. This
hey Jason Love. Good to see you.
This is I'll share this.
Yes.
And hopefully my good lady wife will forgive me for sharing her picture on screen, because she's not that keen on that. But
it was in Edinborough. You can actually go and
buy the witchery, yes.
Yeah, the witchery in Edinborough. You can go and buy witch stuff. Okay, here I'm sharing it now for you.
This is me in my
fantastic
regalia.
This
awesome. Is in Canada, funnily enough. But
yeah, that's I can tell by the house style. Yeah, that's fantastic. Wow, does that ever look sharp?
That one there.
That looks sharp, man.
It's pretty good. Yeah, it's this isn't even. This is the best one, right? This is our wedding.
Wow, fantastic.
This is 1998, and the building behind us is St Giles Cathedral on the Royal Mile in Edinburgh. And so you may think we got married there, but we didn't. We got married in the registry office round the corner, and then afterwards walked to the cathedral and got all our photographs taken in front of it.
Of course, a lot
And
better
then
that way.
all the tourists in Edinburgh's packed with tourists thought we got married in there, so they're all taking photographs. So these photographs are probably all around the world in people's collections.
Of course.
They were going crazy, all the Japanese tourists. Oh, look, somebody just got married in the cathedral.
Yeah. Now, do you mind explaining to people who've not been to Edinburgh or not familiar with it what the Royal Mile is in Edinburgh?
Indeed, and I actually will show you a little picture. So this is the Royal Mile. And what they call the Royal Mile is, so Edinburgh, the middle of Edinburgh is a gigantic rock hill. It's a volcanic rock, really, but and it goes from the castle at one end all the way down the hill to Holyrood Palace at the other end, which is a big royal palace where the royalty stay when they're in town. And it's about a mile in length, and that is the Royal Mile, and it's all cobbled, like a cobbled street. It's been like this for, I don't know, 200 or 300 years. And all the way down, there are all these old buildings you can see there. They're all like, some of them are Victorian, some are Edwardian, some are way before that, like 1700s. St Giles Cathedral, where we got these photographs taken, is on the other side there. Opposite that is this is the city chambers on the right hand side, where underneath is Mary King's Close, and all the way off the side of this are all these little closes, they call them. They're like little narrow alleyways that go down the hill to the bottom of it, and they're just buildings all the way down, tenements. The first high-rise buildings in the world were in Edinburgh. They were like, well, say in the world, in the European maybe, like they were like 7-8 stories high. These tenements they built that went up these closes, and they could practically reach out and touch the people on the other side. You can imagine it was pretty stinky and back in the 1800s when they just threw their shit out the window. But anyway, literally, that is the Royal Mile, and it's pretty interesting. I mean, it's a great walking city, Edinburgh. It's great to walk around all this stuff, and you'll come into you'll see plaques everywhere. Robert Burns lived here, or so and so drank here, or one
of your most famous poets, or the most famous.
Full poet. Of history, and a lot of stuff that happened in the Edinburgh was huge in the Reformation. Was a huge center of medical, scientific endeavors. The university there, you had people like Benjamin Franklin, and others visiting Edinburgh. It was a hotbed of intellectual activity during that era. So you can imagine there was a lot of famous people from the 1700s, 1900s walking up and down here,
Of course. Yeah, literally. Now, what's that black circle at the bottom? Does that rise up out of the ground to stop cars from passing through?
Yeah, I think what happens here is the sidewalk pops out a bit and it becomes a single car lane. So that's just pointing that out. So that's the Royal Mile.
That's gorgeous. Thank you. Thank you very much for that.
Pretty good.
Okay, Mr. Angel is clarifying. Amontillado.
Oh.
It's a sherry, a very expensive one.
Sounds like something that
the cask of Montillado.
Yeah. I can hear certain people saying that.
Thought it was Italian. Yeah. Oh, it's Latin. No. Okay. Do you mind reading this from Susan Dolan?
Sure. She's replying to Kevin 6. Realistically, it's not a kilt unless it's the full 9 yards. That's probably the origin of dress to the nines came from. Oh, well, I didn't know that, but yes, that makes sense. Right. Because really all a kilt was a big, long stretch of cloth that they used to lie on the ground and then roll themselves into it.
Right. Literally.
And the kilts we see today are pretty much an invention of Sir Walter Scott for the state visit of George III. He said, we've got to come up with some stuff for this. So before that, they had it was a plaid. So if you watch anything about the Highlanders, really they're wearing a plaid. It's one, not even tartan, it's one color. and it's wrapped around over their shoulder as well.
Right.
It's what they call a plaid. And that's what it was. There was none of this fancy checkered stuff. That was all invented. That's a modern,
Right now.
I say modern invention, an invention of the late 1700s. But it looks good though, so you know.
And on the Royal Mile, I bet you can find a place to make your kilt for you.
Oh, there's loads of them. Yeah, where I got mine was somewhere up there. Yeah.
And they had old shops like this, like where you buy your witching supplies, the witchery. Fantastic. Gorgeous. Unbelievable.
It's the cathedral.
Beautiful.
Yeah. Needs a good clean.
Oh, you meant the word I'm telling you. That is Spanish. Okay, so I bet you do pronounce the two L's like a Y, but it depends on whether it's Latin American Spanish or from European Spanish. Hard to say. Susan Dolan. Mine is literally the whole 9 yards. I have to hand pleat it every time. I only drag it out for weddings or funerals. Yeah. No wonder.
It's hard work. Mine isn't. I don't have to do that.
Streets. I love cobbled streets.
Oh, there's plenty of them. They're not so good for riding your bike on.
Oh, I'm gonna give you this because it's hard. Do you mind?
Well, I'll probably get it wrong. I'm on Tillado. I'm Scottish. I can't even speak English.
Oh, he's got it spelled out.
Amontillado. Agnatto is a variety of sherry wine characterized by being darker than Fino sherry, but lighter than Oloroso sherry.
Ooh.
I can hear Orson Welles selling it in an advert right now.
And now I've got that Steve Winwood song in my head. Oh, Sherry. No, it's not Steve Winwood. It's Steve Tyler. Is it? No.
Yes. Sherry. That's Journey.
Oh, Sherry.
Oh, Sherry. That's Journey. Valerie was Steve Winwood.
Thank you, Valerie. Yeah, it's been a long day. I slept out at the lake last night. That was great fun.
Right, good.
Yeah,
good.
We did a lot of mushrooms, and we went to bed at like 4 a.m. It was awesome. Went hiking, and then our flashlight died, and we're up on top of the mountain. Speaking of hill climbing, and yeah, we have no flashlights. It was pretty dark last night. It was a lot of fun.
Yeah, you be careful though. We don't want to lose you again.
Oh no! I bounce. All Celtic cultures kilts. Oh, sorry.
No, that's true. They did. All Celtic cultures wore kilts. The difference between Scottish and Irish kilts in Scotland is clan-based. In Ireland, it's the county you were born in. No, I don't know about. I mean, the Welsh do have kilts. Hell, they've even got whiskey. I don't know about the origin. I don't know whether it's county-based or not. But also the Cornish, they've got kilts. Some of the French, Northern French, Gallic, particularly in the west of France, have got a tradition of that too. Not even some of the Scandinavians. So it's not a Scottish thing, but I think the Scottish, it's the one thing we have over the Irish is more people associate that with us than they do with them. But
okay, in the story he was talking about, so the protagonist had it imported. Makes sense. The sherry. I think he was a rich merchant or something. Ooh,
I'm getting an Edgar Allan Poe education here.
I don't even know how to pronounce that.
So Lefroig, I would pronounce it Lefroig. Is it even well? Okay, so I'm more of a Speyside man when it comes to whiskey. Lefroig is an Islay, so the west of Scotland, the Islands. It's a bit more peaty. I've certainly had several bottles of it. I wouldn't say it's my personal favorite. It's an excellent whiskey. It's just not my personal taste as much as the Speysides. I'm much more of a Speyside man. Smoother, less peaty. But yeah, Lefroig's the top quality stuff.
Duncan MacLeod. Now that's a Scottish name. Duncan
MacLeod of the clan MacLeod.
Only ask as I just bought a new one. Oh, kilt. That's
Lefroig's good. I have no problem drinking it. I'm not a big fan of the peaty stuff. I got a new bottle the other day, Loch Lomond. I got the other day.
Yeah, that happens, Mr. Angel. I've deleted the extra ones just to be efficient. But yeah, how long does it take to properly put on a kilt? Depends on how drunk you are when you roll around on
It's
the
not
ground.
about how long does it take to put it on, it's how long does it take to take it off.
And yeah, gorgeous cathedrals in Scotland. Just gorgeous. And that's
that's where we
Glasgow.
had our...
That's Glasgow, right?
Is that Glasgow? No, I think that's... I'm pretty sure that's Edinborough. Yeah.
Okay, yeah, we're still on Edinborough. Okay, good.
I think. Yes, because that's the Royal Mile.
Yeah, that's... Yeah, okay, yeah, you're right. That's the Royal Mile, and that's... Yeah. Now,
that's just where we took those photographs of us at our wedding that I showed you earlier.
Right there by the cathedral.
Yeah.
Yes, that's... Yeah, that's fantastic. It's just gorgeous.
Yeah, that's Edinburgh.
There it is. That's Edinborough. Wow.
And that's the more medieval stuff as opposed to the new town that I mentioned, which is all the Edwardian stuff and Georgian stuff.
Yes, imported. The story plays in Venice in the ancient palazzo of an antagonist. Okay. Did a lot of mushrooms? Yeah, they were fantastic. I know the person that grows them personally just around the corner. So, yeah, stay away from bat country. I have no problem with bats. I like spiders. Only several. Yes. Oban is okay, but the price is insane.
Yeah, prices are pretty crazy for some of them.
I don't think I've ever heard of Oban. Or I had. I've never drunk Oban.
Oban.
I've seen it. Yeah. Oh, is it Oban?
Okay. Yeah, you don't need to draw out the last bit yet. It's Oban.
Hadn't thought about it in years, Mr. Angel, but I still love a good refresher. Nice. Love Highlander. Oh, dude, Jason Love. I love Highlander. Absolutely. That was the movie of the 80s.
I'll be back in 1 second.
Oh, for sure. Absolutely. So this is Edinborough Castle, folks, in Edinborough. Just incredible architecture. This is in a church. Near a church. And there you go. There is Edinborough Castle.
So this is what my sisters were here visiting from Scotland recently. Well, it's actually interesting because one of them lives in Australia, but she came via Scotland because she picked up my other sister on the way here. This is a bottle of Loch Lomond that they brought me as a gift to add to my collection.
Wow.
And it's a nice one. It's more of a Speyside. Although it's not on the Speys, it's not on the River Speys, Loch Lomond, it's here at Glasgow. But it's a smoother, it's a lowland one, more of a lowland one. It's smooth. It's nice though, very nice.
Wow, fantastic.
As you can see, I have opened it, I just haven't drank a lot of it yet. Maybe on bourbon and boarding on Saturday.
I was going to say.
So add that to the collection.
That is fantastic.
Because I'm a malt whiskey man. I do like malt whiskey.
I don't know who that guy on the horse is. Do you have any idea?
Not entirely sure. That's taken from the perspective, I think, of the gardens, and it's there's all sorts of statues down there of people that fought in various wars over the centuries.
Hello, welcome. Malak,
hey,
thank you and welcome. Good to see you here. Yay, Scotland! Yes, I'm stoked. Absolutely, I'm stoked to be talking about Scotland.
Indeed.
Yes, no, we know you're not spamming Susan Tolan. I'm not spamming, but the bloody things seem to breed like rabbits. To the other riches, if you see duplicates, please.
Oh, wait a minute. Here it is. Oh, hang on. I got to say, sorry, I just found the photograph I've been looking for. We were talking earlier about Canadian prime ministers. It's a shame Christian's gone. This is in Dunkeld.
Oh, okay.
And it's the birthplace of Alexander Mackenzie, the second Prime Minister of Canada.
Yep.
I used to go to Dunkeld all the time. So that's pretty neat to find that one.
That is absolutely. Wow.
He immigrated when he was young. And Dunkeld there's the cathedral in Dunkeld. Dunkeld's a little town in Tayside. If you go north from Edinborough over the Forth Bridge and through Fife and then across the Tay, you're in the area that Dunkeld is in, heading up towards the Highlands, up towards the Cairngorms. So it's quite a nice little town. You can see a lot of the cathedrals are ruined, unfortunately, because of war. But it's quite a nice one.
It's hard to tell, but I may have seen that one. But they kind of.
Well, Dunkeld is on the A9 north, going up to the Highlands from Edinborough, so you may well have stopped there.
I I'm thinking well, if there was a castle, we were stopping.
Yeah, and there's the bridge
Gorgeous.
over the River Tay, I think it is. Nice place. Hell, they've even got, just to prove we do actually occasionally get nice things in Scotland. This is in Dunkeld as well.
Ooh, is that a
You
cherry blossom tree or
It
apple blossom?
is. So you do get those in Scotland, even though the sun
Cherry
never shines.
blossom. Wow.
But you can see the old wall behind, and
Yep.
it's a lovely little village, Dunkeld.
Thanks for sharing.
Yeah, no problem. I have a few more, but I'll save them and show them towards the end. Unless you want me to show you them now of different places.
Let me just check.
See what you've got, my friend.
I've got about maybe about 14 photos left.
Well,
so let's go
let's
through
do
those.
yours.
And then I'd be happy to. Absolutely, my friend. And then and a couple of short videos too, just really short ones.
All right, nice.
Good. From the top of Edinborough Castle, and a couple of others. So, and just here we go. Do you mind reading this from Kevon 6?
Replying to Miskatonic Madman, traditional or modern? The fastest I was able to pleat, belt, and wear my trad kilt was around 20 minutes from pleating to wearing. Modern kilt is like wearing a pair of jeans, and that's true. I'm afraid mine is a modern one. I just wrap it around myself and stick the belt on, and there it is.
Special occasions. I would say very special, Peter. Yeah, Venkman site. Yeah.
I had to go for what was affordable as well, of course. So.
Oh, yeah. Susan Dolan says, Mr. Angel, the chat keeps freezing up on me as well. I have to bounce between top chat and all messages before chat updates. That could be one reason for it, too. Oh, well, I'm glad you're staying on top of it, and we're happy to have you here, Susan Dolan. That is my favorite Edgar Allan Poe story. I'm not familiar with it, but I will be before too long. I'll have to make a point of reading it. I feared that already happened to me, too, says Mr. Angel, talking to Susan Dolan. Kevon 6, I was wondering about a traditional kilt. Thanks for the answer. Seems like a bit of a process. Indeed. Imported from Japan. The Obon? No.
No, must be the traditional kilt they're talking about. The modern kilt.
Mm-hmm.
Don't think so, though. I think mine was made in Scotland. Unless you're talking about something else. Sorry, chat. I might not be keeping up.
Yeah. Plants always push through, yeah, of any kind of stone building, especially.
You can't move in Scotland without falling over a castle, and a ruined castle at that, most of them.
If there's a castle, we stop at it. Canadian Spider-Man will not be leaving Scotland for a long time. Yes, that's yeah. Man, I could have spent a lot longer there too. And Miskatonic Madman says Kevon 6. I wouldn't call it a hassle per se. More like the process of wearing a tuxedo versus wearing a regular business suit. That's why it's only brought out for very special occasions. Thank you.
Yeah, it's a little more effort. It's worth it though. So he's probably safer there than Canada with their live smoking the populace.
Possibly. Oh, I do like smoking.
Is anywhere safe now?
Yeah.
So anyway, Edinborough, yes. And you got some sunshine that day.
Now
we're talking a good Scottish breakfast.
What do you see here, my friend?
Well, there's definitely some haggis.
Yep. The haggis.
Sausage, bacon, baked beans, fried egg. You got your potato wedges there, but some bread. But
okay, right.
There's a few things missing though.
The cherry blossom tree was imported from Japan.
Well, I don't know, but it's an old one. It's been there for a long time, but it could have been. I don't know. I wasn't there when it was planted.
The haggis and the beans and the meat was friggin' delicious. That was a great hangover breakfast.
Where's the black pudding?
That was another meal. I did have it. I was pretty hungover at this point because my Scottish friend is 6 foot something and easily 100 pounds. Well, 60 pounds, 70 pounds heavier than I am, easily. And I tried to drink with him with the scotch, and I couldn't. I could not
do that. No, you can't.
I couldn't, honestly. I couldn't touch scotch for about 2 years after this trip to Scotland. It was about 2 years I had to before I couldn't. You wouldn't get.
I know exactly what you mean, my friend. Because all my friends in Scotland are usually like 6 foot plus, and I'm little. and they
Yeah.
could outdrink me all the time. And of course, you're supposed to keep up. Couldn't do that.
The only way I could get him was if we did prairie fires. So with the for those of you who don't know, prairie fires is Tabasco mixed with your whiskey, and you use a cheap whiskey, so you're not. And he couldn't do those.
Indeed. I hate to tell Ruben that was a Scottish breakfast, not an English breakfast.
Oh, hello,
Big
Ruben
difference.
Christopher Haynes. That was a
It's good to see you, though, Ruben.
Scottish.
Good to see you, mate.
Yeah, I'd like to try the haggis, but you can keep the beans.
And of course, they're not. They taste very different. If they were Heinz, they taste different in Britain from here. Heinz beans are very different
from the can. Yeah, probably.
Yeah,
and that's is that that's
it's back to Sterling, I think.
Yeah, Sterling. That is Sterling. You can tell. That is Sterling.
Yeah.
And okay, yeah, gorgeous.
Another one of these.
Gorgeous.
That's probably Stirling Bridge.
Yep. Welcome to Glen.
Oh, back to Glascow. Yeah.
There's the map.
Nice.
And
Primula.
You know what that is? You reckon?
Oh yeah, squeeze that cheese out. It's great.
It says cheese and ham, so there's ham and cheese in the tube together.
Yeah.
You can see it.
I used to love that stuff. I love that stuff.
See it on my finger, folks.
You don't bother. You just stick it in your mouth and squeeze it.
Yeah, that's right.
Don't bother spreading it on anything.
One calls haggis English at once owns risk in Scotland.
Indeed.
Yes. Scottish, got it.
Yeah. But yeah, somebody's pointing out the as I was saying, the baked beans. If you buy a can of Heinz baked beans in the UK, very different from the ones here.
Yeah, because
they're not. The ones here are a lot sweeter and
corn syrup enriched.
Steroids.
Yeah, sterocities. Monstrosities. La la la. Monstrosities. I just haven't you don't see that word in print very often. That's awesome.
Don't. I think I'd like to change it to I like the way you said it. Monstrosities.
Monstrosities.
Monstrosities. It's better, yeah. I like that.
I am familiar with the word.
Just created a word. I love it. Love it.
William Wallace, the famous Stirling Bridge.
Oh yes.
Baked beans. Yep. On any shore, on any shelf you can keep on any shore. Yeah, not a fan. Yeah, you get that. Loch Ness Monster Video Visitor Center, 200 meters. All right, and you can stay at the Loch Ness Lodge Hotel. That was my choice.
Nice.
That was my choice. Yeah, the student hotel, backpackers welcome. And look how quaint and countryside a building that was. That was nice. I enjoyed it. And that looks like a trebuchet at Urquhart Castle.
Back to Edinborough again.
Yeah. And we saw that one going through the Highlands, and that is
Glasgow. Yeah, that's Glasgow.
And the tapestries. Okay, this is in I believe Stirling Castle, and the tapestries were incredible, and I really like that style. You can tell right away that it's sort of the UK, England, Scotland, Ireland, as opposed to Germany, or at least I think I can. It's just the style. It's fantastic. William Shakespeare says the YouTube problem is caused by a known memory leak in the chat window code. Quick answer is close the entire tab and stream and reopen it in a new tab. I'll post a notice on X tonight. Hey, excellent. Thank you, William Shakespeare. And Susan Dolan, trust me, William knows what he's talking about based on what he's been talking to me about. So, or close the chat window if you had popped it out separately and don't run multiple chat live windows. Well, hey, thanks. Jason Love says cheese and ham. Yum. I do like cheese and ham. I've heard what they do in my chat freezes. What a hassle. I've had to do that when my chat freezes. What a hassle. Yeah, medieval yeet machine for those unwanted guests. Trebuchet never fails.
They were pretty fearsome. That's why most of the castles are broken down because of those damn things.
That's right. Okay, and just getting through. Yeah, okay, we saw that. That's the dungeon where you sleep. And okay, so in a castle, for along the highest part of the walls, folks, you have arrow slits where you can rain down arrows on people. But there's also, if you notice, a little grate. There's a hole covered in a grate at the bottom. A steel grate over a hole. What was that used for, do you suppose?
Well, this is your al fresco facilities,
Yeah. right
Open air, fully
on to the
ventilated,
uh-huh.
convenient.
Right on to the attackers.
Yeah,
Right on to the attackers.
yeah,
And or you could pour hot oil, I suppose, down there as well.
you
Whatever. But
could.
yes. Yes. All right. And that is Urquhart Castle. Last shot of Urquhart Castle. And there we go. Uh
What we
back to
think
the
is inside a
cathedral.
Glasgow cathedral. Yeah,
Yeah, Glasgow Cathedral right there, folks. Now I do have um uh we'll
that's a nice picture.
that. I liked it. Boiling oil, yeah, no doubt. Or yep, that's the other thing, Jason Love. Christmas Adams Family Style. Now I do have a couple of just real short videos that I'll play. Okay, let's take a look at Edinborough Castle. How about that? Hopefully the volume will work. It should work. Let's see.
Yeah, and that's looking down on Princess Street in the Princess Street Gardens. And at the back is the River Forth, and way off in the distance, the Forth Rail and road bridges. In fact, there's a new road bridge now. That's quite interesting. Yeah, they built a new road bridge, so it's pretty good looking.
The view from that high up was just amazing. And now I've got a
Great.
view. Oh, go ahead.
I was going to say it is great. It's fine. Every time I go back and visit my family in near Edinborough, I always go in for the day just to take a walk up to the Royal Mile and up to the castle and take a look around.
It's
Just
such a good view.
yeah, it's such a great view.
Here's Urquhart Castle and Loch Ness. And again, just a short video.
Yeah, beautiful, nice.
And I've got now. Do you want to see just a couple of short? Now the quality is not awesome. I didn't know how to work my camera at the time, but we have a couple of short videos of the
Go for it,
Highlands,
mate.
and then we'll look at yours.
Oh, saw the road sign there.
It said Fort William.
You're heading towards Fort William, which is
Yeah,
one of the larger towns in the West Highlands.
yeah.
And then from Fort William, if you go further north, you'll get Ullapool and places like that. Skye,
Yeah.
Isle of Skye, stuff like that.
Inverness is up that way. Yeah.
Well, Inverness is more in the east. Fort
Yeah.
William's in the west.
Sorry,
West Highlands.
Glencoe.
Yeah.
Sorry, Glencoe's up in there.
I mean, yeah, you can get to it, but you'd be going over to the east. So it's up in the West Highlands. It's really quite beautiful.
There it is again. Yeah. And I
But
wish I had taken longer videos.
Yeah, I mean, all the way up the west coast, and it's quite mild because of the Gulf Stream. I mean, you're not seeing the Atlantic here or anything, but all these beautiful little fishing villages they're just gorgeous. Like Ullapool. Ullapool is absolutely gorgeous. Recommend anybody who goes to Scotland go up to Ullapool. Beautiful West Highland village
On my next trip.
on the Atlantic coast. Really just absolutely gorgeous.
Next trip.
Oh, you should. So another place people should visit is, if they get the chance, is Roslin Chapel.
Ooh.
Which moviegoers may recall the end of the Da Vinci Code. It's actually featured at the end of the Da Vinci Code. So Roslin Chapel is an old 1446 founded family chapel from the Sir William St. Clair founded it, and then it's been like, Chrome. I've got some pictures if you want to share them. It's
yeah, absolutely. Here we go.
It's meant to be a very like the Knights Templars. Some of them are buried there, and all that stuff, all that history. And it fell into like Cromwell's troops once even captured it and stayed in it. So this is just some views of that.
Oliver Cromwell, yeah.
Yeah. And then it fell into disrepair, but it's got it's a little chapel, but it's absolutely gorgeous. I grew up like 5 miles from here. So it's on the River Esk,
right
near where I grew up.
That is awesome. That's fantastic.
It's full of stuff like this. But yeah, it's in the feature at the end of the Da Vinci Code. Oh, that's me and the missus. That's not Rosslyn Chapel. That's Melrose Abbey.
Still
Get
Scotland.
past
Yes.
that. This is Rosslyn Chapel.
Oh, wow.
So they were in a big restoration period when we went. I'm just going to make sure I find the right pictures for you.
Yeah, absolutely. Burning oil pitch or a makeshift toilet. If you're not afraid of a stray arrow up the bum, well,
as you can see, they were working on it, but it's full of these incredible pieces of stonework all the way around.
Wow.
You know, gargoyles and knights and all sorts of stuff.
Isn't it?
Yeah.
It's incredible. I love that
Oh,
stuff.
that's Finnegan's Wake in Edinburgh. It's an Irish pub in Edinburgh. Yeah. Get back here. I've got more of the chapel. Hang on. That's Edinburgh again. Sorry.
Yes. That's right.
So that's St. Giles Cathedral, and then there's the square here. Let me find the ones that don't feature various relatives for you.
Sure, man.
Because I've got more of the chapel. They'll be crying in the chapel.
Mr. Angel says, when it says I'm looking for a quick fling and you have a trebuchet set up in your back garden,
there we go.
Heat sound and vanishing scream in the background.
That's right. So this is some of the stonework you get in Rosslyn Chapel. It's just incredible.
Wow. That's ornate.
Yeah. But here we go. This is quite good. So this is from some kind of poem about it, because this was a really ornate little chapel. From Rome, the nurse of science and arts, low architecture, all her power imparts, steals from each temple every tempting form, and robs St. Peter's Rosslyn to adorn. So, and behind that, you can't really see it, but there's, like, in the ground, they've got graves of knights and stuff.
Wow.
It's quite awesome. The place. There's another view of it. It's one of the stained glass windows in it. And inside, it's got this thing called the Apprentice Pillar, which is this really ornate carved pillar done hundreds of years ago. I don't seem to have a photograph of that, unfortunately, and forgive me for that. There's an old house on the grounds. Wow. It's well worth visiting because it's because of the Knights Templar connection. It's quite historic. And you get a view of stuff like this from it. Other old buildings.
That's amazing.
Some of the clean stonework. Yeah, these old graves these are like 500-600-year-old graves there.
I wonder how that must have looked when it was brand new. Just amazing.
And there they are doing some of that cleaning work on these incredible pieces of stonework.
What excellent work. That'd be worthwhile doing. That'd be rewarding.
Rosslyn Chapel, it's about 10 miles outside of Edinburgh. Well worth a visit. It's quite famous because of the Apprentice Pillar inside. It's all beautifully carved.
Gorgeous.
What else have I got? There's another one. That's the Royal Mile looking down the other way towards Holyrood Palace. So the castle's behind us.
Uphill and downhill, isn't it?
Oh yeah, it goes right all the way down. But all the way off the side, there's these closes with, and this is all bars and stuff. There's loads of stuff going on.
Yes, lots of ways to spend your money very quickly.
Then there's another view there of, this is Edinburgh Castle from Haymarket, which is at the end of Princess Street. There's a train station there, and it's the other end from the main train station. But that's a different view of the castle there. This is another beautiful place. So not a lot of people, as many people go to the borders area with England. So if you go south of Edinburgh or Glasgow, down to the borders, there's all these beautiful towns like Jedburgh, Melrose, Kelso, and others. And they've all got these beautiful abbeys. Most of them, unfortunately, damaged during various wars with England. But this is Melrose Abbey. These are well worth visiting. Melrose is a beautiful little village. Jedburgh and all these other places. So go down to the borders and tour these if anybody ever wants to go. Don't just go up to the Highlands, go south as well to the borders. And if you go further, you'll get to the Hadrian's Wall and all that stuff as well, of course. But
again, one of these days I'll go back, of course.
Even just looking at the graves in these places is phenomenal because some of them are ancient, you know.
Our friend Mr. Angel says there's a nearly identical church in France.
Yeah, probably. Yeah, probably. But yeah, that was just a little bit of other stuff that I had lying
That's
around.
fantastic. I
Don't
I
think I've got
love
anything.
architectural. I love architectural. Just the styles of Scotland and Europe in general, and the castles.
Oh, indeed.
Peter Venkman's fan site says, "Come on, man! Everyone knows you got to mess with the camera as you go through the manual."
Yeah.
I did. Do you mind reading from my friend Susan Dolan?
No, sorry. I'd like to recommend several videos about the Kingsguard London City Walks, buskas, and I'm drawing a blank about the third. But the Scots Guard is currently at the Gathering of the Colours, which I'm assuming is an event in London.
Yes. Yeah. Cool.
Which Scots Guard, I actually had a not too far distant ancestor of mine was in the Scots Guard. So.
Yeah, I've got, you know what? I've got photos from London too. London will be another Thursday night travel talk, and maybe we'll have you back for that. You never know.
Oh, well, for sure, mate. This
I
is
loved
fun.
London. London was my favorite city at one time.
It has been a while since I've been to London, but I used to go all the time. I used to work there.
Oh,
I'd
right.
fly down from Edinburgh and work there for 2 or 3 days every week because my headquarters of my company, I'll say my company, the company I worked for, was in London. So I used to fly down a lot. So over the years, I got to see a lot of London and do a lot of stuff in London.
Yeah.
And including all this, like the East End tours and all the ghost tours, the Tower of London, all that great stuff.
The Tower of London was so incredible. That was
the Admiralty building.
I enjoyed that. Hyde Park, Speaker's Corner, all of that. Yeah, I'm going to really enjoy talking about London, and I'd love to have you on again.
The Tower of London is something else. That's pretty. It's like Edinburgh Castle's great. So is the Tower of London.
Yeah, the history there and the stories.
It's quite incredible, yeah.
Nolan says it's King Charles' birthday. So they, and I'm assuming Northern Irish Guards with bagpipes. Oh.
So I wish I could find, I've got tons of other stuff, but...
One of the weirdest examples of Templar building design. Wasn't it built after the fall of the Templars, says Mr. Angel? A very mysterious building.
I'm not a historian, sorry. You probably know more than me, Mr. Angel. It was built in the style of Templars, and supposedly there are Templar knights buried there. Just because they fell doesn't mean there wasn't a few of them still around.
It follows.
But hey, I'm no historian, and I will bow to anyone else's knowledge. Tell me what the truth is. I don't know. I will never reject. So yeah, tell me what the real story is. It's still a beautiful place to visit, regardless. So yeah.
Oh, Peter Venkman's site has a good question. It must be a great coast on a bike. Sounds like you could get some good speed through there.
What, down the Royal Mile? I wouldn't really. Yeah, it probably. The fact is, it's heaving with tourists most of the time, so you'd probably knock a few over. And it's also full of pipers.
Oh yeah, or the coast of Scotland by the Isles.
A lot of pipers. So,
West Coast. Yeah.
So yes, there's other
Hello, FKHC 2005, and we saw a couple of photos from Inverness, and
we did. And wish I could find some more of my.
I enjoyed Inverness.
The trouble is, a lot of my photographs I've never scanned, and they're old ones, pre-digital.
Yeah, I've got to do the same.
Yeah.
Brett Cohen says beauty that isn't replicated that well today. Yeah.
That's
Mr.
right.
Angel Trebuchet. That was a funny Trebuchet joke. Pipes.
I've just found a few.
A flame.
London. I found a few London and Liverpool. Found some Liverpool ones.
Trooping of the Colors. Oh, okay.
Did you ever go to Liverpool?
Saturday.
Have you ever been to Liverpool?
No, not yet. I want to do a road trip all through all through England, really, not just London. Yeah. One of these days. Please explain me to the obsession with the UK people with baked beans for breakfast. It's a side, lunch, or dinner stateside. Yeah.
not sure it's an obsession. It just exists. It's just a thing. It's like you might as well say, "What's the obsession with something that everybody eats in America?"
And yeah,
I just,
hey,
having lived in America, Canada, and Britain, everyone's got their quirks, but they don't see them that way because that's the way it is
hello,
where they live.
Rancor Steve. Hello and welcome to you. We just have our good friend, that 70s rock fan on. We're just wrapping up the show on Scotland. We've seen some photos and we've looked at
The
some
breakfast
videos.
thing is, though, I think it is all about curing the hangover.
Yeah, beans would help. It's one of those great
Well, maybe
mysteries.
they don't. I don't know. As long
Why
as it
not?
gets some meat, there's got to be some meat on there.
I love the meat. Yes, you need meat for breakfast. I wish
Yeah.
I could answer what the truth is too, but alas, we will never know, says Mr. Angel.
I got
This
one more
festival.
photo for you, but it's not
Oh,
Scotland.
absolutely. War rations.
War
Yeah.
rations, yeah, possibly. Hey, we
Yes.
were still starving for years
Dude,
after the war.
if you come to
Well,
Liverpool, we could meet up there. Hey,
oh,
Dalek,
so
you're on.
If Dalek's in Liverpool, I've been to
You're on.
Liverpool many times. I got a
I'd
ton of
love to.
photographs.
Yeah, I'd
Like,
love to. I know he's in the area.
so Dalek might like this one then that I'm sharing.
Should have an Irish Scottish on at the same time. Dude, I am Irish and Scottish descendant, but yes, I'd love to have an Irishman on. I don't know if I know any Irishmen on YouTubes. I know them in the real world up in Worcester. I got some good friends. But I don't know if I want to give them a microphone. Jeez.
So
Not much as the Irish, however.
yeah, so I have got something for Dalek.
Oh, yes, absolutely.
That's the Museum of Liverpool.
That's the Museum of Liverpool. Okay.
Yeah, on one of my trips there. This is Dalek should recognize this one too. That's looking out over the Mersey in Liverpool.
Oh yeah, Dalek says, yeah, that's my local area.
Yep, I've been there multiple
he could be in
times
these photos
because I'm a huge Beatles nut.
It's
I've
possible you could photos.
Been to Beatle Week. I've stayed. I've seen Paul McCartney on the King's Dock live. Here we go. You'll recognize this one as well then, Dalek. Tell me who that is, Dalek. Dalek will tell me who that is.
Why is Elvis over there?
It's not Elvis.
That is not Elvis.
Not Elvis, no. If Dalek knows, I'm hoping he'll know who that is.
What the guy
It's
off
a
the
British. No. This is a British rock and roll singer from Liverpool that was a big inspiration to the Beatles.
I'll be there.
So Dalek's not replying or saying, but it's a guy called Billy Fury, who was a major early British rock and roll singer from Liverpool, and so big inspiration to the Beatles. I've got some of his records actually. He was pretty good.
Well, thanks for
Liverpool.
Thanks for that. I appreciate it.
I got tons more Beatles related Liverpool stuff, But,
I think it's a holdover from World War II. Rationing, beans were cheap and filling for the working class.
It's probably right. Yeah.
The ferry across the Mersey. I don't know what the Mersey. Oh, the Mersey River.
The Mersey River, yeah. One of my favorite songs of all time, During the Pacemakers, Ferry Across the Mersey. There's the Beatles story exhibition. I was looking a bit beefy there.
That happens.
Yeah.
Especially with the drink.
Don't like that. A bit beefy. I've got thousands more Liverpool ones, but we'll save those for another day. The rest, I think.
Yeah, I think I'm content to wrap up here. So if you want to promote, first of all, thank you so much. Your insight and your take on some of the things on the picture was really valuable. I really truly appreciate that. And you know what? You're the only YouTuber that I've actually met in person. And we'll have to do it again.
Up until I went to the meetup in Vegas recently, you were one of the few that I'd met. You were the first one I ever met. Let's put it that way.
Yep, that's true.
It was a very nice
what do you do on your channel? What do you?
So over on my channel. And I'd like to thank everyone in the chat here today. They've all been fantastic, and thank you for everything you've been saying. And I mean, there's stuff I don't know anything about. I'm no expert in anything, even the country I come from. So thank you everybody for putting your stuff in there. Really appreciate it. Over my channel, we do I'm not doing too bad over there these days. I'm up to about 1,500 plus subscribers.
Yes.
Getting quite a few
Congratulations.
views on certain things. I tend to
Wow.
do I have a regular weekly live show on Mondays at 3 p.m. Mountain Time. This Monday's show is about the 1975 movie Death Race 2000.
I saw the promotion. I love
Yeah.
the video poster for that. You know, I
Yeah,
love the
so that's the subject because I'm doing a
awesome.
series of. I tend to rotate shows. I'll do a music one, then I'll do what I call Canon Film Club, where we talk about canon films like Death Wish 2 and Delta Force, all those canon movies of the 80s.
Yes.
Then I have a cult comedy crew show where we talk about classic comedy stuff. So I've done things like Blackadder, SCTV, stuff like that.
Oh, I
And then
love Blackadder.
then I do these classic science fiction movie streams. So I tend to rotate them all. This Monday it's the science fiction. I particularly like dystopian movies. Death Race 2000 is a great example of that. Also, it's a little bit of a tribute to Roger Corman, who passed away in May. He did produce that movie, so with his New World Pictures.
Yeah, I did hear that, actually.
Yeah, so I did a video on that. I don't do as many videos as I would like because I'm a one-man band, and you know what that's like. So,
yes.
But I try to do the odd thing about bands or albums that I love. I also do stuff about Korean. I'm heavily into Korean movies and TV, so I tend to do a lot of videos about that stuff. That's a smorgasbord. And on Saturday nights, as you know, my friend, Brahma Bull and I do Bourbon and Boarding, where we talk about hockey. We drink and talk about hockey. Yep. So
I've been on with you've been courteous enough to have me on.
And you are welcome on any of my shows anytime, my friend.
I would love to. Now that I'm a Zamboni driver, I feel more qualified because I don't know as
not just the hockey shows, any show, my friend.
I really appreciate that, and I know that you mean that, and I will take you up on that. Absolutely.
So I'll just throw the link to my channel in one more time, actually. If it lets me do that, because I'm not a mod. I'm not a mod.
Put your name, say something in the chat, just say hello, and that'll be changed.
There you go. It worked. Cool. Thank you.
I was gonna say you are a mod. So, yeah,
I am now. Was I a mod before? I don't know. So yeah, I mean,
you were. Yeah, I didn't get a chance to do that.
Check my channel out if you get the chance, guys. We have fun. What we do, it's like my friend here. We talk. We have fun. We tend not to talk about the things we're not interested in. We talk about things we love.
And you're such a positive channel. That's why I love recommending your channel. Please subscribe and go check that 70s Rock Fan out. You're a positive fella. That's what I really enjoyed about meeting you. And like I said, I'd be happy to meet up with you anytime. And if you're ever in the area, same here, man. I've got lots of places to put you up, and maybe we can go burn.
It will happen. It will happen.
Got it. Thanks. Oh, and you are already subbed. Oh, that's excellent.
Thanks, Mr. Angel. Appreciate that.
Lads, it's been a great listen and partly a watch. Thanks, Brett Cohen. I really appreciate you being here. Hey, Edge of Time is here. Cool show, gang. Thanks. Another person from the other side of the pond, as a matter of fact. Yes.
Well, we did have fun tonight. It was good.
Daniel's Hot Topics. Hello to you. Peter,
you have a great crowd.
Certain U.S. brands. Pew.
Yeah, you have a great crowd, my friend, in your shows.
I really appreciate everyone showing up, and I hope that they're having a good time. Susan Dolan says the dogs on the tapestry are either Irish wolfhounds, oh yes, or they're kissing cousins. I thought the same thing, or Scottish deerhounds. Scottish deerhounds are the kissing cousins. Okay, I didn't know that. Thank you, Susan Dolan. Don't you find you learn so much from the chat? And if you don't know something, you just ask in the chat notes.
They know everything. Yeah, way more than I'll ever know. I ain't no expert.
The wolfhound is more massive than the deerhound. Okay. And Dalek says, sorry, I didn't know who that was.
It was Billy Fury, Dalek, Liverpool rock and roller from back in the day.
That makes sense, Mr. Angel. If you have a labor-intensive job with a lot of activity,
Could be.
and breakfast makes a lot of sense. Packed
And they're easy. I guess it's easy.
will sustain you to a long working day. Yeah, I enjoy just meat, but yes, that does make sense. All right, thanks for being here, everyone. And I think we're just gonna wind down the chat. Thank you, everybody, for being here. Mr. Angel, always a fun stream. Spidey, thank you both. And yeah, thank you to everybody and to the wrenches in the chat. I'm always up for the top of
Hey,
Scotland.
Peter's a great guy. And Tim's a great guy there. FKHC.
Oh, yes. He was here earlier, yeah.
They're
Remember
all
when
great
all
guys.
the death races happened in the year 2000? Seems like old
That's
times.
right. I mean, it's set. Yeah, this is the funny thing about all these dystopian, futuristic sci-fi movies
Right here,
we
Mr.
love.
Angel.
They're all set in the past now.
Now you should do about your RAF times.
Oh, my RAF times were boring. Honestly, pretty
technical
dull.
note.
If you want to hear about
That's
fixing
probably
fixing cables in aircraft, well, I
That's
did
pretty interesting.
did see a bit of action at the end, but that was.
And William Shakespeare has posted a chat, a technical note with a chat window on X for anyone having that issue. Thank you, Peter Venkman. Thanks. Guess what started filming yesterday? Jurassic World 4. I'm so excited. Cool. I don't care what comes out as long as it's good.
As long as it's entertaining.
Oh, and thanks. Hey, Kivan 6 has subbed you. Thank you so much for the support, everybody.
Well, thank you, everybody. Yeah. Thank you very much.
I think is that an I? That is Malaya? Malaya. Grim. Definitely subbed. Thank you. All right, guys. We're going to wrap it up here. And I want to thank my good friend, that 70s Rock fan, for co-hosting. It makes it so much easier with a co-host.
My pleasure, mate. Thanks for having me.
And have a great night. I'll see you next Thursday, everybody. Please join us every Thursday night. And I do bonfire streams sporadically all over the time. But definitely you'll find me here every Thursday night talking travel. I love travel. Good night.
Take care, everybody. Thank you.